Hey there! If you've seen any of our social media content this week or last week, you'll already know that we're rebranding after taking some serious time off of social media, aside from a few graphic design projects here and there that I've taken on and maybe a couple personal updates. We pretty much haven't done anything business-wise. We've just kind of been sort of talking about like how we were going to move forward and really if we were going to move forward with running a business. And so many of you know that I've been in kind of a transition phase of life. I'm always busy, but this has been like next level busy. So back in June, we added our sixth baby, this guy, taking him on an after dinner walk right now because I went to let the other kids outside and he absolutely loves being outside and he was not a fan of the idea of staying inside. Right before he arrived, the month before he arrived, we moved my grandmother in, and since then she was diagnosed with dementia. And so I really just had to kind of like stop with all that change and decide what was most important. And the amount of work that I was doing at the time was just not it. So during that off time, my husband and I decided that we would be moving forward with the business, but that it was going to look a whole lot different than it has previously. So that's what prompted us to rebrand, and I wanted to talk about why we're rebranding and what you can expect moving forward. Those of you who have been with us from the beginning, we started back in 2019. I started with totally random stuff. We did like wood signs, which I enjoyed a lot. I still make some every now and then for myself. We did like Cricut and vinyl, things like that. And while I still love all of those things, we ended up turning it into a full-time and very successful print shop where we sold direct-to-film transfers and sublimation transfers. So most of my audience knows me from that Etsy shop. And maybe like 25% of the audience knows me from graphic design work that I've done. So right before we had the baby and moved my grandmother in, we closed the print shop because it was too much for me. I was working well over 40-hour weeks. I mean, I would say like 12-hour days, 7 days a week. And that was just the time that I was sitting at the computer and packaging orders. Etsy has an app for sellers, so even when I walked away from the computer, I was still like messaging customers and checking on things here and there. And it was overwhelming, and I just was not able to meet the needs of our family the way that I wanted to. And the whole reason that I originally opened the shop was so that I could be a really present mom, and it just became incredibly overwhelming and not at all sustainable for this season of life especially. So we closed it and sold everything to a close friend of mine in New York. Her name is Michelle. And if you need prints, I would be glad to give you her name or recommend you to another shop that does good work depending on your needs. But I will no longer be doing prints, and as far as I can see, that's not going to change. Our why has changed just as drastically as the amount of time that I have, and so we just needed to shift. So why keep the name Caroline Crafts? Most of you know that my legal name is, or at least my legal last name is not Crafts. Well, I say most of you know, probably actually that's not true. Really only the people who know me in real life know that. But I have several Facebook groups, and some of them are very large. We have a digital design group that's over 25,000 members now, and some of them are smaller and more intimate settings. We have an email list and things like that. And under all of those groups, the audience knows me as Caroline Crafts. And while I love my last name, it's incredibly hard to spell, and it's also hard to remember if you've never heard it before. like we have like lots of real life friends who can't remember our last name that we've known for years. We get called like Celaguini and Celalinguini, all sorts of different things. So, which of course we think is kind of funny. But when you're running a business or like, you know, a website, at least you want to have a name that people can remember. And so Caroline Crafts just stuck. And since that's where I started off doing crafting, and it's simple for people to remember and search for, we decided to keep the name. We also wanted to keep our children's names as private as possible. So if you know us in real life, we would really appreciate you're not using our last name or even really their first names to protect their privacy. We will still likely refer to them using names for this channel specifically, because obviously they're gonna pop up in videos. That's part of like the rebranding that we're doing, is that like I'm not gonna just stop what I'm doing and start over just because we have interruptions from children. Those are just inevitable and quite frequent. So moving forward, we are changing directions from sort of a professional service-based business to more of a personal and family-friendly lifestyle vibe. The reality is that there's like a lot of kid noise here, a lot of chaos going on here, and I think that's normal for people doing a lifestyle blog, at least those who have a large family, and honestly probably welcomed and appreciated by at least the viewers that I'm looking to reach. So before I was trying to do videos and tutorials for my crafting and business courses, and I would start over every time there was an interruption, and that just became incredibly stressful for me, and I didn't want to do that anymore. We enjoy our large family, and we enjoy the chaos, and if viewers are not interested in embracing that, then we're just not a good fit for those viewers, and I'm okay with that. So what to expect? I am going to show you more of our life. I'd love feedback if anyone has questions or things they'd like to see. But we're transitioning more to like a lifestyle blog, which I know isn't really recommended these days in the business world because it's not specific enough. You often hear that like it's not niched down enough. But this is what works for us in that season. We were super niched down with pretty much just focusing on some graphic design, but mostly sublimation prints and sublimation printing. And like I said, while that was really successful, it wasn't going to work going forward. So this is what works for us right now. Before I wrap up, I just want to say that this rebrand isn't about walking away from what I've done in the past. I'm still incredibly passionate about graphic design. I'll continue offering like custom orders and logos and digital design resources as I'm able to. In fact, I'm currently double majoring at Liberty University in graphic designs and biblical studies, and I'm loving every minute of that. So I'm not giving up graphic design, but this is more about expanding. So we're going to dive into more than just design and business. Yes, I'll still be talking about running an Etsy shop and building websites and growing an online presence, but I'm also bringing you into more of everyday life. And like the courses and the videos and things that I was doing before, they were more private and not as accessible on like these platforms. So I'm planning to just bring it all out more into the open, but also bringing you into more of my everyday life. We've homeschooled for over a decade now, and while every year can bring new challenges, I finally feel like we've kind of found our rhythm. So I'll be sharing what's working, what has worked, what isn't working anymore, and how we pivot when we need to, because homeschooling is rarely one size fits all. We're also going to talk about homesteading. We live on 36 acres in eastern North Carolina with goats and chickens. We have rabbits, some pigs that used to be the neighbors, and a horse named Lulu. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out, like dogs and cats, lots of chickens. So you probably hear, in addition to children interrupting, there will be roosters interrupting, guaranteed. Probably there have been in this video and I just didn't hear them. I don't even hear it anymore. It just kind of plays in the background. But you'll also see more about homemaking, recipes, routines, and just motherhood. That's, I mean, you know, 90% of my time is motherhood. 99% of my time. Do I have more than 100%? Motherhood. We've had to get creative in the kitchen, especially recently. We have 2 dairy-free children at this time. One more sensitive than the other. Our youngest cannot have any dairy at all. Absolutely not. I can't eat dairy because he can't eat dairy and I'm still nursing. And so like we've had to create some of our own dairy-free recipes that are actually really good. I never thought I would be any good at creating recipes worth sharing, but here we are. So I'll be sharing some of those. And of course, our faith is central to all of it. With my studies in biblical apologetics, I'll be weaving in some encouragement in scripture and just truth during our time together. Moving forward, you can also expect to see more video content across platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. You guys may catch the way I said TikTok. I'm not yet looking forward to it. I think I'm gonna like it, but I'm not there yet, so bear with me. Facebook has been my comfort zone, especially the private groups, right? Like those have been what I've focused on growing most, and I've really enjoyed that because it's just a more personal connection. But I'm learning to step outside of my comfort zone. I didn't do a lot of videos before because of the kids' interruptions, but I feel like in the virtual space we really need to see real parents facing real challenges, and that's how we learn. At least that's how I learn and grow. And I'd like to be as authentic as possible in showing you the ups and downs. Like I said in a video earlier this week, like I'm not going to walk you into my laundry room on one of those days. It's just not going to happen. But as authentic as possible. And I have created a Facebook group. It's, I know, another group. I am not stepping away from all Facebook groups, but with the sole intention of having a more personal atmosphere community. It is ladies only, but I think like cleaning challenges and devotionals and like health and fitness and cooking, large family type stuff, and a lot of what I do cooking wise could I was thinking about this earlier, isn't really just large family. Like you could meal prep with a lot of the ways that I do things. So just things like that will be more in the Facebook group, more personal type setting. So anyway, whether you're here for like design tips, which would be part of my previous audience, or homeschooling encouragement, homestead updates, faith-filled content, I hope you'll stick around and find me on the platform or in the space that you feel most comfortable. And I invite you to grow with me and to encourage one another.